Today, we're going to talk about the Justice League. For those of you who don't know about what Justice League is, not as a comic, but as a movie, Justice League is the culmination of all of DC and Warner Brothers' work since, I think, Man of Steel. Directed by Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. Zack Snyder had a family tragedy in which he had to back out of it, and Joss Whedon, who did The Avengers and The Avengers Age of Ultron, stepped in and finished the project. Long story short, Justice League is about an evil being named Steppenwolf who has come to the Earth before, and when he came, he had these 3 mother boxes, and when these 3 mother boxes were combined, they created what is called the Unity. When he lost the first battle, they were split up into 3 realms on Earth, basically. One to the Amazonians, one to the mankind, and one to the Atlanteans who live underwater, which brings Aquaman in, that brings men with Batman, and Cyborg and the Flash, and the Amazonians, which obviously brings Wonder Woman in. Great, perfect. That's the story in a nutshell. All of these characters that we've seen and know and sometimes love all come together to fight a common enemy. Teamwork. Let's try to start with the good points in this movie, because there are some. I do like Ben Affleck as Batman. I like Gal Gadot. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was good again. I liked the relationship between her and Batman. That was pretty cool to see. A couple of things with the team, seeing them interact was kind of cool. I thought Jason Momoa was good. I'm excited to see his movie. I really like James Wan, who's directing. If you don't know who James Wan is, he's Insidious and Conjuring. Other than whatever. We're not here to talk about James Wan. We're here to talk about Justice League. The other members were Cyborg and Flash, and that's about as much as I can say about what I thought of those characters. Anything else? DC is kind of doing like their expanding cinematic universe, and they allude to some characters that are going to come up, I guess, and that was cool to see. I like building universes. I know it's kind of the played out thing with superhero movies now, but I liked it. It was cool seeing other things that allude to other things that we're going to see. What a weird way to put that. It's unfortunately, it's gonna be mostly bad, this video. I hate to make this comparison, but it has to be made because this is the reality. Marvel started this whole big superhero expanded cinematic universe off. Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, all of these movies, and then they built up and they had the Avengers, and it was a huge success because you see all these characters coming together to fight a common enemy, and it worked. Did it work with Justice League? No, it didn't. This movie is basically like 6 or however many movies crammed into one, and none of them are really that interesting. I didn't care about anybody in this movie. Batman and Wonder Woman were really the only characters I felt a connection to. They brought in Cyborg and kind of treated him as the character that has a big importance in this movie, but I don't know Cyborg. As a character, he's very boring. He's very one note. Now onto the Flash. Just thrown in because they gotta make Justice League, so let's introduce the Flash instead of introducing him in another movie. I mean, they kind of introduced him in Batman v Superman through a QuickTime event. He saved a person. That's the character development, I guess. And we saw a little bit of him in Suicide Squad. I think threw someone in jail. Suicide Squad was terrible. I don't remember much from that movie. Ezra Miller plays the Flash. I don't know. Just a strange put of comedy into a very seriously toned movie otherwise. The Flash just doesn't work for me. It's very forced. And I guess we can talk about the comedy in general in the movie. DC took a very weird turn. We had Man of Steel, which was very seriously toned, Batman v Superman, and then they had Wonder Woman, which was very seriously toned. It had a few jokes in there, but it matched. This movie took a weird comedic turn, and I don't want to accuse them of trying to match up with Marvel's comedic turn. I mean, we just saw Thor Ragnarok, which was just a comedy goof fest. This movie took a step back off of the very serious tone they were going for, which made me disappointed. They just went very bright and comedic, and it just didn't really work. with the tone of the rest of the movie. This movie really would have benefited from Origins, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman. We didn't have movies for them, which we should have had beforehand. Now let's talk about Steppenwolf, or Steppenwolf. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sue me. Steppenwolf is just a character who shows up and wants those mother boxes, those dang mother boxes. He's shown us very powerful. I mean, he's a threat. He's definitely a threat early on. Then they just ruin it. It's shown that he's just a pawn for a greater villain that's gonna come up later. I wish they would have given us a villain that we cared about. And then, oh boy, the climax of it is once again light beam in the sky, take over the world. I'm gonna change the world for the better and to make it mine. That is so played out. I don't want to see it again. We've seen from recent superhero movies that that's not the thing that works anymore. They did it in Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Avengers, Fantastic Four. Remember that movie that only came out a few years ago? They've done it. We've seen it. We don't care. What makes a good villain is not someone who is just wanting to take over the world and make it mine. What makes a good villain is someone that I connect to and care about. They took some of the good things that were going on with the DC Universe. I thought, even though it was kind of bogged down in the dark and gritty kind of stuff, I was still excited because they were building some universe stuff. Now, unfortunately, this is because Zack Snyder's vision and Joss Whedon's vision didn't really mesh together, and you can tell that was the issue. Maybe if things had been a little more realized and there was one vision bringing together the Justice League, maybe we would have gotten a more coherent film, but we didn't. Another thing this movie lacks is visual style. Zack Snyder maybe doesn't have the best vision for a complete film. What he does bring to the table is a unique visual style, and this movie was lacking. With Justice League, the characters coming together sometimes is fun. They have little fun, quirky moments, but they don't really mesh because I don't care about some of them, so you can't just make them a team and expect me to care about it without any backstory. A villain can't just be a guy who wants to take over the world just for plot's sake. That's what they did in this movie. All in all, we got a movie that's just a jumbled mess. And it's probably making this review of the movie sound like a jumbled mess because the movie's just all over the place. It's too much going on with one idea, one concept that should be so simple, but it's just not. I guess they were counting on the action and some of the funny moments, grabbing the crowd and making me feel good, but they didn't work. And neither did Justice League as a whole work for me. It's not good. It's not good. I don't do ratings. I'm not going to now. I gave you my thoughts. Do with them as you must. Let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's have an open conversation. That's it, really. Yeah.